Okay, today I'm going to go over how to fill in the missing view here on problem number 2 on the handout that you have. So you're going to need a ruler and a pencil, and just as a quick review, just remember some of the different line types that you need. We're going to be drawing some light, really faint construction lines or projection lines. We're going to then go back in and fill in some dark object lines, and we will probably have some hidden lines that you need to pay attention to, maybe a center line or two as we go forward with this week's activities. So I don't have a ruler. That's all you need is a ruler. I've got my one of my triangles here, and that's okay. Any type of straight edge will work. So whatever you have available is good. I'm using this triangle because, of course, it's see-through, so you can see things a little bit better. Now, we're starting with problem number 2, and this one's one of the easier ones to do because you have to fill in the front view. So it's a little easier on these design problems to fill in front views where you have your top and side already there together than it is in case of problem number 4, where we have to fill in the right side view or the top view off of these two. And I'll talk about more when we get to that later. But for right now, we're just going to do problem number 2. And all I'm going to do to start this out, the first thing I want to do is try to box in that front view and see where everything's going to come together and kind of define my 2 dimensions that the front view defines. And if you'll remember, the front view defines your height, which is going to be over here, and it also defines the width, which will be right here. Of course, up here in our top view, we've got width going that way, and we've got depth going that way. Over here in our side view, we have height and we have depth. So those are the 2 dimensions shown in the side view, the 2 dimensions shown there in the top view, and of course our 2 dimensions that we're going to find out where everything goes in the front view here too. So as I go forward, I'm going to come across and I'm going to line my straight edge up here with this very top line in my side view. And I'm going to draw projection lines going all the way over into that front view from each of the points that I see. So from right here, we'll start a nice faint projection line. I've got a intersection point here, so a nice projection line there. I'm going to come down to this one. Here's another intersection, so I'm going to project these over. And it's important to remember, one of the reasons for projecting all of these intersection lines over is because we should see all those. We're going to see those in some type of a line or point or an edge or a surface over in this view. So we have to get all of those. So, and here the bottom edge of my side view, project that over. Now, as you recall, the bottom edge here of our side view also defines the bottom edge in our front view. The top edge here in our side view also kind of defines the top edge here in my front view. So I know that everything I see in the front view is going to happen between this line and that line. And I'm not going to have anything else drawn above that or below that. Now I'm going to use my top view and project down too, and we'll do the same thing. So I just switch my ruler, or in this case my triangle, over, and I'm going to go from the far left side of that top view, line it up, project down. Now in this case I know it's going to end and terminate right here, so I can just kind of stop that at that point. I don't need to go any further. And do the same thing up here and project this down here. Stop there. Here's another intersection point, so I'll move that down, And of course, this last one here goes all the way down as well. Okay. Now, I hope that by this point you can see that this front view is kind of defined by our construction line box that we just created right here when we projected these lines between each views. And what I'm going to see in this view is going to relate somehow to this isometric view. Now let's talk about that for a minute. So we've talked before about normal views and our line of sight. So as I'm looking down perpendicularly to the top view here, my line of sight is similar to what I would be looking at straight down on this block. So let me draw in my line of sight here. It's looking straight down at the top for this top view. So that would be my top there. Now, my side view and my front view are both kind of at this angle that's created when we kind of turn and rotate that block or that plane so that we can see this and have it look three-dimensional to us. So my normal view going and looking directly at this, where my line of sight would be, is going to be basically kind of at an angle. Here's my eye and my line of sight looking directly this way at that 3D pictorial. So, and that's going to be my side view. Now my line of sight for the front view is again kind of a little bit at an angle, and that's pointing this direction. And that's going to be my front view. So as we go, so I got my front view here on my isometric drawing, I got my side view on my isometric drawing, and I have my top view here at this. And you can kind of see this relationship here as we take a look, and we can kind of confirm this a little bit. So if you'll notice, I've got this rectangular shape right here. I'm just going to label this rectangle shape as, say, surface A. And notice here, that relates to surface A right here. Now if I go with this larger rectangle shape, that is surface B, and that relates to surface B here, again as I'm looking this way, in my isometric. Now that leaves us with what we see in the side view here with this L shape. Now this, when we're looking directly on this, it looks like it is an L shape, but we see from looking at the our isometric drawing up here that that is actually an inclined plane. We still see that L shape. Notice the L shape here as we go. We still see it, but we can tell from this view that it's inclined. We can't tell that from there, but I'm going to label this. So this is surface C, and that relates to this as surface C as well, even though here, as we discuss this, side surface A and surface B are both what we call true size and true shape, because they are perpendicular to us, to our normal viewing plane. Surface C is not. Surface C is not true size or true shape because it's actually inclined to us. And we see the same thing over here in our top view. Here, this L-shaped view, or what I see as an L, I can kind of see that L shape here in this top view too. So that is my surface C. And here, so we'll label this as surface D, which is just this tiny narrow rectangle that we see here. Now, at this point you should start to picture and put this together. As I'm looking this direction, we see these shapes in here. I see this trapezoid here. Well, I've got to draw and relate that on both of these. And I can see from here over, that's going to match there, how I have this solid shape. And on this left edge, so I'm going to notice this is the left edge of the part. And that is, of course, the left side here in the front view. So let me come back over. I can know now that I need that to be solid object line. So, because that is solid going all the way across. And I also know that I'm going to have a solid object line going from here to there. Seeing where that correlates to, that's here. And then from here to there, well, that's this point is this point, and that point is that point. So from that, we can also go back in with our solid object line. Draw that. Up here, I just have this short line right here on this surface. Well, that relates here to this as well. So let's come back. Go back through. There we go. On the right side of my front view, I've got this A, and as I'm looking at this going that way, my eyesight's going that way, I do see over on the far right side, I do have this line going up here, and then I got the line that's angled. So I can come back here now that I know that. We will come through here. That goes right up and stops right there at that projection line. And now my angle line goes all the way up. Notice where it meets. So we're going to make that angle line. It's going to come up. It's going to meet right here, which is right there, and it's going to meet right here as well. And those are the points that relate to each other. So let's move our ruler over. Now I know that this is going to be a solid object line too. So there we go, my front view. Might think that we are done at this point, but if you'll notice, the two shapes we're seeing here in the front view is this shape right here and this shape right here. Well, we don't see that right now. We only see just one shape here. And hopefully at this point you're recognizing this projection line here also needs to become a solid object line because that represents this line here. So let's go back, fill that in. So I'll put my ruler back over. Nice dark object line there. There we go. And that is what the front view looks like in this particular problem. So go ahead, you draw that out and try it. Remember, try to keep your lines neat and straight. Use your straight edge of some sort, whether it's a ruler, piece of paper, triangle, sheet of cardboard, whatever you have for straight edge. Make it as neat as possible. Keep your construction and projection lines nice and light so they can be hardly seen. Make sure you darken your object lines so that they are nice and dark and really pop off of the paper like they do here. So your guys' turn to go and practice. Get this done. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can draw.